I'm sure you learned about Vietnam War history or history of Vietnam in general in school, high school, middle school. Have you? A little bit, Gavin. Okay. Can you see from here? Too small, too big. Okay, I'll make it bigger. Does this ring a bell? Napalm Girl. Does this ring a bell? Okay. So you have never heard of Napalm Girl? Onliners?
Have we ever heard what? You kind of cut out there at the end.
Sorry?
You kind of cut out there at the end. Could you repeat yourself?
Have you heard of the word Napalm Girl?
I personally have not, no.
Napalm. And okay, Napalm Girl. Can you see? I just shared something.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So you did not learn this in history, this incident?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Napalm was a bomb. It was made in the 40s during World War II. It was made of petrochemicals, among other dangerous substances. And let me share something. Did you came across this famous Vietnam War picture? The girl was running naked because they dropped the napalm bomb in the village temple they were hiding. So all the kids, all the adults, they came off, escorted by the South Vietnamese and American troops, I think. Did you see this picture anywhere before? Did you see this picture anywhere before? So, her real name was something I cannot even pronounce. From Fenty Kim Phuc, I don't know. And she was 9 years old when they dropped this napalm bomb. I cannot make it bigger. And she, among others, were hiding in the temple because the communists were bombing the village. And South Vietnamese soldiers and American troops, they were trying to defend that village. And they dropped the bomb on her. It burned her clothes. It was a very powerful bomb. And she tried to survive. She took off her clothes and she kept running. That's how she was running naked. And later, when she reached a point where it was safe, there were South Vietnamese armies from the Netherlands, America, stationed somewhere. They give them water and they also pour water on the scars. It was too late. It was already badly burned. And in the picture, in this website, her grandma was carrying a cousin, baby cousin. The cousin did not survive. And later on, it seems that the principle of agency did not apply when she was young. She was passive, reacting to the circumstances. It got bombed, she ran away. And when she was young, a young adult, she was a medical student after the war ended. And apparently, they want to use her as a propaganda. They asked her, they instructed her to quit her study. She had no agency, no autonomy. She had to comply. They used her as a propaganda to show the detrimental effects of the war to the whole world. They did not ask for her consent. But if you read her story, after that, she was allowed to continue her study in Cuba, sponsored by her government. And I think for some reason, she and her husband, they went for their honeymoon. And while the flight was filling in Newfoundland, they tried to escape. They did not like the communist government. And they got asylum in Canada. I think after they got asylum and they became Canadians, she and her husband got more agency, had more autonomy. She had more freedom to go for treatment. And if you read through her story, many medical professionals, many organizations, health organizations offered to give her free treatment for her scars. If you Google her name, she is better now. If you Google her name, I think she is about 11 years older than me. So she's in her 50s or 60s, about to enter old age. So my point is, she had more autonomy in Canada, and the principle of linked life also manifests in her life later on. She got in touch with medical professionals, I think partly with the help of Canadian government. After they granted her asylum, maybe they solicit medical professionals around the world, hospitals around the world, to come and to do research on what to do with her wounds. So, the principle of linked life was manifested later on, after she migrated to Canada. And the principle of time and place was manifested in her life in a distinct, unique way. Only people in her village experienced the napalm bombing, and only this lady got her skin burned, got her clothes burned, had to take off the clothes and ran. But not everybody in the whole world in 1972 experienced this. So the principle of time and place is also manifested in her and her family's life. Her taking off her clothes, running naked for safety. Her grandma carrying the baby cousin who was also burned. Grandma survived. Cousin did not survive. But not everybody around the world, not everybody in Vietnam experienced this napalm bombing. Only certain people. Not every villagers in Vietnam in 72 experienced napalm bombing. So, because of that, people's perception, your perception, my perception, other Vietnamese perception, even if they were alive, in 72, but they were not living in that village. People around the world, if they saw this picture in the newspaper or TV or the radio, their perceptions are going to differ because only people in this particular village experience the napalm bombing. Because I think the South Vietnamese troops and the US troops, maybe they try to play safe. They bomb the temple. Sometimes enemies could hide in the temples too. And too bad, many innocent people suffer. But for you and I, we sympathize. We may never be able to empathize. Can you see that? We never experience that. So people's perceptions about this bombing is going to differ. People in other villages who did not experience this bombing, they may saw this. Their perceptions are going to differ compared to people in this village who experienced the napalm bombing. And maybe this Madam Fan, her experience of this bombing, she was 9 years old. It's going to be very different from her grandma's experience from the bombing. The grandma was old, in old age, during 72. So this is a manifestation of the principle of timing in this incident. And the principle of lifespan development is also manifested in Madam Fan's life. It affected her biological development as a kid. She was sent to the hospital right away to Saigon. They could not do anything. They thought she would not survive. Who knew? She survived and made it to medical school. I'm sure it affected her psyche as a kid. It affected her physical well-being or biological development for sure. And it affected the social development. Even as a 9-year-old girl, when they were running and running, there were some American troops from other European countries, some Vietnamese troops at a safe place to kind of receive them. So they got help, whether they got burned or not, they got help. So it affected their social development. In their mindset, they are going to form certain perceptions about the South Vietnamese soldiers who try to help. And maybe other European soldiers, the first responders, who might or might not be Vietnamese. They were all trying to help the villagers. It's going to affect their social development and their psychological development. Seeing this person from their village took off her clothes, got burned so badly, and people trying to help, they may form certain perceptions about some South Vietnamese army, first responders, and other Europeans. So, in my humble opinion, all 5 principles of life course is portrayed in Madam Fan's life. And later on in her life, after she escaped to Canada, I think she met a lot of nice people. We can see that. And she got a lot of help for free. So it continued to affect her social development and also biological development. It seems that her scars healed pretty well, even though we can still see the scars if you Google her name. And it's going to continue to affect her mental health. She met a lot of nice people, and at some point she can still recall she was being used by her government. She did not like the communists. All this experience is going to affect her biological, social, and psychological developments. Can we see that? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? I cannot make it big. My lips. Okay, can you see this? So, you see the bombing was so bad because the bomb was so strong in the village. It literally destroyed everything. You saw her scarf, you see her scarf. It was so bad. When she finally made it to safety, but she was badly burned. Did you see her scarf? Even the back got affected. And this was the grandma carrying the baby cousin. The cousin did not make it. You did not see this picture before.